everybody, so I hope you're well and having the most incredible day as always. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. If you guys can't tell by my voice, I am still getting over this annoying cold that I've had for weeks now, and it just won't budge. It won't budge, so we're just going to deal with it. So I do apologise if I sound a little bit croaky, a little bit like a man, but we move on because in today's video we're going to be going through the 11 books I read in October. That is correct. You heard me correct. I read 11 books in October, and honestly, I am so proud of myself. If you guys are relatively new to my channel, hello and welcome. My name is Melody. I usually read about 8 books a month. This month we read 11, and I honestly cannot wait to share them with you. We have got a real mix here. We've got some 5-star reads, some 1-star reads. It is a mixed bag. So without further ado, as always, we are going to dive right in. I hope you guys enjoy and carry on watching. So before we dive into what I read, I do just want to quickly go through what I didn't read. If you guys didn't see, I did film a October TBR video. It was the most fun I have ever had filming a TBR video, and I'm going to be doing them every month. Like, I don't care. I'm going to do them every single month. So I had a great time, but I sadly didn't hit every single book that I picked out because I do like to mood read as well as stick to a TBR, and I kind of did a bit of both this month, and I did mood read probably a little bit more than I should have, I'm not gonna lie. So there were 3 books I didn't get to, and I'm gonna briefly talk about those now. So sadly, the first book I didn't get to was The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This doesn't mean I'm not gonna read it. I just haven't got to it in the month of October, and I might pick it up in November, but I'm not quite sure. And the next one that I didn't read was The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. I just wasn't in the mood for this. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was because I know it's gonna be emotional and it was a 430 page book. I just wasn't in the mood for it. I didn't itch to pick it up, and I also couldn't find it on Kindle Unlimited either, and I just didn't want to pick up a 430 page paperback. So that one got put to the back of the queue as well. And also, do not scream at me. I know you guys won't. I didn't manage to read my book club pick of the month, which is the first time in over a year that I didn't manage to finish it within the month of October. I am still reading it, don't you worry. So our book for October was Quicksilver, and it was actually the book I suggested, but me not thinking, I didn't think it was a 610 page book on the Kindle, and it's quite a big book. Obviously it's a fantasy, so like there's a lot going on, and I really don't want to rush it. So like I considered getting the audiobook, and then I was like, do you know what, no, we're gonna read it, we're gonna read it properly, let's just do this. And I've been reading it on my Kindle. I've been really enjoying it, but I also have like had a lot going on at the same time, so I haven't been able to like binge it properly, but I will finish it. It will be in next month's wrap up along with next month's book, which is going to be a priority as well. That is basically what I have to say. Put my hands up saying it. I didn't read it, but I am reading it, so anyway. So now let's move on to all the books I did read. As I said, I read 11 books. Some of them were brilliant, some of them not so much, so let's go through them. So the first book I read in October was Bright Lights and Summer Nights by Kat Singleton. This series is just so good. Like, it is bingeable, it's spicy, it's got the found family aspect, like it's got everything I want in a series, and it's just so good. The cover also is absolutely beautiful. So I have the discreet cover. There's also the I don't really know what the other cover is. I think it's of like a collar or something, and maybe there's like another one. I know there's a few you can get. This is like the illustrated version, which I absolutely love, and I absolutely love this book as well. It was beautiful. So for a bit of context, this book is about Emma and Preston. Now Emma basically decides to go to the Hamptons. She stays in her friend's house, who you actually meet like in the series previously. So again, I love the like interconnectedness. I eat it up. I love that. And she basically goes to the Hamptons, and she decides, do you know what? I'm going to go and break into that party over there, and I'm going to have myself a really good time. Then she meets Preston, who is a billionaire, of course. These are all based on like billionaire romances, and I loved him. This book was just so good. I even put a quote of this book on my Instagram because I fell in love with him as a fictional person. So basically, let me just get it up a second. So in this book, there was a scene where Emma was asleep, and I'm not going to give you too much of a spoiler, but Preston was downstairs, and this was very early on in the book, like nothing was going on between them or anything, and he was downstairs and she goes downstairs, and he basically made her coffee, and he says, "I also made coffee. I wasn't sure if you liked hot coffee or iced, so I made you both." Like, goals. Everybody who is in a relationship, take note, because coffee lovers want this, especially for somebody like me. I love an iced coffee, but I also love a hot coffee, and there is always time for both. It was beautiful. I'm not going to tell you any more about the story because I feel like you need to read all 3 of the books in this series. It was just so good. It was a 5-star read. I loved it. I also just want to point out as well, I think every book in this series, I might be wrong, but I think every book in this trilogy so far has been a 5-star read from me. I honestly loved it. It was just incredible, and I binged it. It was amazing. 5 stars, as I said. If you guys like a spicy billionaire style romance, you're welcome. The next book I picked up was Love Like Farms by B.K. Borison. I'm not gonna lie, I truly think I picked this up at the wrong time of year because I gave this one a 3-star, which to me, a 3-star doesn't mean it's awful. A 1-star means I would never read it again. A 2-star is like, I somewhat enjoyed it, but like I probably wouldn't recommend. A 3-star is like, I actually did enjoy it, but I feel like I'm never gonna think about it again. That is how I feel about this book. It's not that I didn't love it, I just feel like maybe I should have read it in December. That's how I feel. This one was about Stella and Luke, and essentially Stella owns a Christmas tree farm, so it is based around Christmas. I don't know why I didn't think that when I was reading it. Like, I should have seen the cover and thought like, maybe you should read it in Christmas time, I don't know. But I knew it was a short read, and I just fancied something quick and easy and like romancy and just like snappy. But anyway, you basically have Stella. She has a Christmas tree farm and she wants to save it, so she basically fills out this like application for this like competition, and for some reason she puts that she's in a relationship and she runs the farm like with her boyfriend. She's completely single, so she asks her best friend Luke to be like her fake boyfriend. You can see where it's going. It's like fake dating, childhood friends to lovers vibe. I enjoyed it. It just wasn't like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't scream uncontrollably, so that was that one. The next book I picked up was In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. So this is the 2nd book in that series, and to be honest with you, I think I picked that one up because I really wanted to read this one in October because it was screaming like autumn, fall vibes. Like, I'm sorry, but that cover is giving me autumnal vibes. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, this one I also rated a 3-star. I did enjoy this one as well. This one is about Evelyn and Beckett. So Evelyn is a social media influencer. She is very, very famous, and she ends up having this like one-night stand with Beckett, and then it kind of goes into the future, if you know what I mean. So this happened like months ago, and then they end up sort of reconnecting again accidentally, if that makes sense. It was a really cute book. Again, I didn't feel overly connected to the characters. It was a very good book, and it was spicy when it should have been. It was romantic when it should have been, and to be honest, that's all I can really remember of this book. I did enjoy it. It was a 3-star read, and to be honest, I think this whole series, like, it's written well, and they're very easy to read. They're very quick. They've got the spice, they've got the romance, they've got that like found family connection, but I just feel like I won't remember these as much as I remember this. Does that make sense? Like, I really do recommend these if you want something that's spicy, that's romantic, that's got that like fluffy kind of vibe to it, and that has, you know, the Christmas aspect, the like autumnal vibes. These are really good. I would just say, obviously, you do want to read them in order, and like the order in my brain doesn't make sense because this one is Christmas, then you've got like an autumnal read, and I feel like it should go in the seasons, and then you could read them each season, if that makes sense. But anyway, they were both 3 stars. I just don't really have much else to say about them, to be honest. The next book I picked up was Signed, Sealed, Dead by Cynthia Murphy. Now, I don't know what possessed me not to pick this up sooner, because if you guys have followed me for a while, Cynthia Murphy is one of my all-time favourite YA authors. Like, I have loved every single book she's written, like every single one. If you want something that's fast-paced, that has you like really thinking, she's basically like the YA version of Frida McFadden. Like, that is how I see her stories. Like, I am immersed. I can envision everything. I just absolutely ate this up. This was a 5-star read. I don't even need to say it. It was so incredibly good. So this one is about a girl called Paige, and she ends up moving to America from the UK, and she moves to this little small town. Immediately I'm thinking Stars Hollow vibes, and she moves into like the haunted house, where it's like a really weird vibe there. Like, a lot of people in the street are a bit like, okay, like she's moved into that house, bit weird. And she makes some friends, and they also are giving that kind of vibe, and she's a bit like, okay, like why is everyone being weird? And it turns out that something happened in that town so many years ago, and they're actually about to kind of do a memorial again very soon. I'm gonna try and explain this without spoiling it, because it was incredible reading it and going into it blind. Like, don't even read the back, like just go into it. And honestly, I don't want to say anything else, but like it's so good. Like, if you love things like Pretty Little Liars and like that kind of vibe where you're like, you don't know which way to turn because everybody seems guilty but also no one seems guilty, like, you will love every single one of her books. Honestly, I guarantee it. Win, Lose, Kill, Die. My jaw is still on the floor. Like, I really want to reread that, so I might have to soon. Unbelievable. Like, I loved this book, and I just, yeah, it was so good. So good. Just, if you want a good YA, please read this and thank me later. Incredible. And for this time of year, perfect. The next book, I fear I cannot tell you too much about, because it is the third book in a series, and that is Filthy Rich Vampires 3 Queens. So this is the third book in the Filthy Rich Vampires series, and I gave this one a 3-star. I did really enjoy this one. This whole series I've really enjoyed, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think they're very quick. I love a good vampire romance. Like, I am a vampire gal. Like, I was always Team Edward. I've watched Buffy, love it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a vampire kind of girl, so I feel like you can't go wrong with a vampire book, in my opinion. This one is like a spicy vampire book, a spicy billionaire vampire book, basically. The whole series is really good. This one just wasn't my fave. I think I loved the first one because it's kind of like Twilight, where like the first one really sets up the rest of the books, and I feel like the first one has so much world building and so much information that I just ate it up, whereas this one, it was more of a filler. Like, not too much went on, but like a few things went on, but I cannot tell you anything that went on because it will spoil the rest of the book. Do you know what I mean? So it was a 3 stars. That's all I'm going to say, and I am going to continue and read the last one. So that was that. The next book I read in October was Love Game. I hated this book. I gave this book a 1 star. I did not like it. This book, I can't even remember. Elle Calloway and Nikki. Right, these 2 characters were insufferable. Honestly, I don't like to speak bad about books. It actually upsets me because I feel like somebody put their heart and soul into this, and I just didn't like it. I hated both of these characters. Spoiler alert, if you do not want to know anything about this book, please skip forward, like, until I'm not holding the book anymore. Just skip forward a little bit, but I'm going to speak about this. If you don't like the cheating trope, you will not like this book. I hated it. So basically, Nicky is a famous tennis player. He's engaged, okay, to a girl who's actually just quite horrible, but not horrible in the sense, like, she's not abusive, but she's just, like, her attitude is not great, and I think she cheats on him. Anyway, she's not very nice. You then have Elle Calloway, who is his chef. She gets hired to be his personal chef, and they start this little, like, late night chat kind of situation because he needs to eat at, like, 3 in the morning. It's all very bizarre. And then they start this romance behind his fiance's back, and then like, it's all just weird, and like, I just don't like it. I feel like the cheating trope, don't get me wrong, I don't condone it. However, the cheating trope, I feel like, is done well in certain situations. Like in a dark romance, when it's hard to like explain it where it would seem okay, but like, you guys know what I mean. Like, if you guys read books and you've read the cheating trope, I feel like sometimes it's okay. In this book, it just made me uncomfortable, and I really didn't like it. I didn't like the spice. It was a bit weird, and yeah, it was 1 star. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm never going to read it again. Moving on. The next book I picked up is part of a series, and I honestly think this could be one of my all-time favourite series of all time, and there's only 2 books out. This was the second book, which means I have to wait I have to wait to read the rest. And honestly, I don't think there's many series that I've started that haven't already been finished, if that makes sense. Apart from like the Powerless series, like ACOTAR is technically finished, but like there are books coming out, but I've read all 5. And other series on my shelves, like I have most of them. Does that make sense? Whereas this one, I have to wait until next year and it is killing me inside. But anyway, that is Bespelled by Laura Thalassa. I think that's how you pronounce her surname. Guys, I cannot recommend this series enough. So you've got Bewitched and then you've got Bespelled. Firstly, the covers, like let's talk about it. The flop, beautiful. The matte covers, incredible. I just cannot describe to you this series without spoiling it, so I'm gonna be blunt with it. This was a 5-star read, first of all. Where do I begin? Okay, so the first book I spoke about in my previous wrap-up, so if you guys want to hear the sort of details on that, feel free to go and watch it. This one follows on pretty much directly from that point, and you learn to love so many characters, you learn to hate so many characters. It follows on from the first book. You kind of get more details as to what's going on that happened in the first book. It honestly just keeps you on your toes, and I ate it up. Like, I love this series, and again, I cannot really tell you much about it because I don't want to spoil it. Like, if you want to go into this blind, which I highly recommend, then don't read the back. So within this series, you've got witches, werewolves, you've got demons, you've got warlocks, I suppose, sorcerers. You've basically got loads of those fantasy-esque things, but it is in like a modern world. You know what I mean? Like, she's got a phone, she's, you know, it's very modernized, which I absolutely love. Yeah, beautiful, 5 stars. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Just know that I love this. I love this series, and I really, really, really need book 3. And there's supposedly like a prequel. It was supposed to be a novella, but now it's going to be a story, and that's going to be coming out as well. I just need it. Like, I need it. So Laura, if you ever stumble upon this video, please, I'm begging you, release them soon. I need to know what happens. So love that. And last but not least, we have a 4-book series. You've heard me correct. I read an entire 4-book series this month, and that was the If Love series by Anna Huang. I don't really know what possessed me to read this month. There was no itch, there was no kind of need for me to read this. I think I just wanted a short, romancy, a little bit spicy book, and then I just kind of carried on, and now we're here. So you have 4 books in this series. You have got If We Ever Meet Again, then we have got If the Sun Never Sets, we've got If Love Had a Price, and If We Were Perfect. Now, I really did enjoy the series. Was it as good as the Twisted series? No. Honestly, I think I didn't rate these books as high as I thought I would because I was comparing them to her Twisted series. This was released, I believe, before that, so it's hard for me to like really compare in a fair way because that was newer, so she's kind of had a bit more time and a bit more experience, whereas this one was a lot of an older series. Does that make sense? Anyway, I rated these 3 stars, 2 stars, 3 stars, and 3 stars. So I'm going to do the whole series as a 3-star rating, but this second book was a 2-star. It's very hard for me to describe these without giving too much away, but they feature a lot of different things. So the first 2 books, let's speak about those first. So this kind of focuses on the same couple, these 2 books. In these 2 books, you focus on Blake and Farah. They both live abroad in Shanghai, and they say to each other, look, let's just be together for a year, and then when we move home, and we just don't have to like worry about it ever again. But obviously they fall in love too much and it becomes an issue, and like they don't want it to stop. But at the end of book 1, it doesn't leave on a happy note. So like I had to dive into book 2, and it kind of concluded that whole situation. To be honest, again, it's one of those books where I've read it now. I don't really remember overly loads about the plot twists and things like that, but all I remember is that there were a few situations in this that kind of gave it that third act breakup. God, I cannot speak. Third act breakup kind of situation, especially in book 1. So you will want to go into book 2 to kind of conclude that situation. But again, I did enjoy them. I didn't love them, but yeah, I liked them. In the third book, you have Chris and Nate, and Chris is Christine, or Christina, I can't actually remember what her full name is, but anyway, we're going to go with Chris. She basically hires Nate to try and seduce her stepmother-to-be because she knows that her stepmother-to-be is not a very nice person. And then obviously Chris and Nate kind of have this bond, and it goes from there. and he ends up being like her fake boyfriend, but like not fake boyfriend. And yeah, this one again, as I said, was a 3-star. I did like it. I feel like it didn't stick in my brain enough for me to want to be like, you guys have to read this series. But it was cute, it was spicy when it needed to be, so that was the 3rd one in the series. And then the last one in the series, you've got Olivia and you have got, what is his name? Sammy. And Sammy is a baker, and Olivia, I can't actually remember what she does. I think she just works in like a office or something. Olivia's mum, I did not enjoy. She was vile, and some of the things Olivia did in the past, I didn't enjoy either, but she basically ends up having to move in with Sammy because her apartment floods, and it kind of goes from there. Again, it's one of those books where at the time I was reading it and I was like, oh, this is like a nice book. Will I read it again? Probably not, but yeah, it was okay. That's my overall thoughts and opinions. This Cell series as a whole was good. I'd give it a 3-star. It wasn't as good as the Twisted series. It wasn't as spicy as the Twisted series. And I feel like, again, the Twisted series was one of the first series I ever read, and I feel like nothing will compare to that now because of how much I enjoyed it. So 3 stars. So those are all of the books I read throughout October. I would love to know down below, have you read any of these books, or have you got any of them on your TBR? Let me know down below. Also, let me know down below your favourite book you read this past month, because I would love to know. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so incredibly much as always. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, as I would love to have you here, and it is a fun place to be, I'm not gonna lie, and I would love to have you. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. Also, don't forget, down below is my Goodreads, my Amazon wishlist. All of my links and everything are down below if you haven't checked them out. And yeah, I'm gonna go. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.